Hi, welcome to the Leadership Lab. Today, we have with us a person who has seen the evolution of the pharmaceutical industry over the last 3 decades. He's a classic example of consistency and discipline. With more than 26 years of work experience, we can comfortably say that Mr. Prashant Menon has seen it all. He has been associated with some of the top brands like Cipla, Sun Pharma, Ranbaxy, Alchem, Alembic, Vanberry, Glenmark. He has handled some top positions like the Vice President, Sales and Marketing at Alembic, the Director at Vanberry. His recent stint was the Managing Director at Exeltis India. He is also a visiting faculty at the Nursi Monji Institute of Management Studies, Mumbai. Mr. Prashant Menon is certainly a master of his trade. Let us talk to Mr. Menon and understand his journey in this profession. Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for joining us at the Leadership Lab. I'm sure the students will be highly motivated after listening to you and getting much more insights of the pharmaceutical industry from your end, from your experience and your knowledge. So let us
Sure.
begin, sir.
Yep.
My very first question to you would be what was your previous job profile and what were your roles and responsibilities there?
I have very recently moved out from my role of a managing director with Exeltis India. Exeltis India happens to be a Spanish multinational, one of the newest multinational entry into the Indian market, probably around 8 years back. And my role there was purely to manage both the marketing function, which we call the commercial function, that is the businesses, the sales and marketing, which is the branded formulation business, as well as the manufacturing business. We also have a plant based out of Chennai, where we make, let's say, oral solid dosages. And that's what is the plant where they supply not only to Exeltis domestic, but also we supply to a lot of other Indian companies as a contract manufacturing company. So the role basically encompasses, purely to put the commercial business into a mode which looks a lot more profitable, and also to get the manufacturing company be a lot more streamlined, be a lot more incisive in its approach in the Indian pharma market. Try and generate some large clients where a good bulk of the business can come in around the year. So we did manage quite a bit, during my tenure there, both in the commercial as well as in the manufacturing, business units.
Thank you so much, sir. And so, what is the current industry scenario like? Also considering the COVID part right now. So, what is the current industry scenario? And if a student wants to get into this industry, how much of growth he or she can expect, and what would be the requirements or the basic skill sets that he should possess when he wants to get into a role like this maybe in the future, not immediately obviously, because your journey has been very vast of almost around 26 years, so I would not expect a student to immediately get into that role, but what kind of traits should the student possess?
Okay, let me just break down this question into a
Absolutely
few
right.
parts. First is what's happening in the industry at the moment. Uh, very very unfair to predict what will happen to the industry in the future, because I believe you pick up you pick up the newspaper every week. Okay, every Monday you begin the newspaper reading, and probably between 20 and 30 and 40% of it is very different from what it was in the last Monday, right? I mean, numbers are going haywire, predictions are going haywire. Uh, the the only normalcy is the uncertainty. I think that's what we would like to, I think, stay with some time. I'm not getting into a new normal, cliched word that's been used,
Right.
abundantly. I'm just looking at today's normal is purely uncertain. So the best is to really live the moment and to see how you are trying to surge ahead given these scenarios. Let's look at where the industry is. The industry in the month of April declined by Indian pharma industry declined by a little under 8%. To be precise, around 12% is what the
All right.
industry declined in the month of April over last year. The cumulative first 4 months of the year, we declined by around close to 5% odd, which means this year, just a month and a half, predominantly April, April's minus 12% has hit the first 4 months of the year so badly that the entire first 4 months cumulative business is already on a 4% growth. So just look at how the industry moves. Very typically in the industry, this quarter of April, May, June, and June, July, August, which we call as quarter one and quarter two in the financial terms, are the most productive quarters. Okay, we do around close to 55 to 58% of the business in these 2 quarters, and the balance 45% comes in the quarter three and the quarter four.
Right.
Yes, and this also coincides with the economy of the industry, economy of the country, because this happens to be the monsoon time. So obviously, India being a very strongly agri-driven economy, you will find everything to do with agriculture tied up with the monsoon. So purely the April to September period is the best period for India's economy as well as the pharma economy. Now, where do we see ourselves in this 6 months? I would look at us being in and around not more than a 5% growth to the best possibility. The reason why 5% growth will be a great achievement even in the first 6 months of this year is purely keeping in mind that we expect normalcy or ease down of lockdowns to be a little better in the months of June, July, August. With this entire pandemic happening, with the entire movement of people in and out, especially the casual workers, especially the migrant workers, a lot has got affected. So not only is your supply getting affected quite a bit because of these kind of things, in the pharma, what is the biggest effect is the demand level, right? Now, what is demand? People like you and me wouldn't have visited a doctor in the last 3 months, right? Even if I've got anything, you would have probably just made a phone call to your family physician or to the doctor that you normally consult, and you would have probably just got some quick remedies done, and you would have purchased the medicine from your nearby chemist. What would have happened to people who are in the chronic ailments? People like, let's say, people who are into diabetes, people who are into cardiology, people who are into neuros, cancer. These are people where they have initially in the mid of second half of March and the first half of April, they've typically hoarded the products, right? So we saw a little upswing in March with a little bit of a decent growth for these kind of product ailments in the month of April, purely not from a demand increase, but purely from a hoarding increase, right? So it's not right to really look at figures for the next 2-3 months. I mean, I would really look at bundling the first 6 months of this year, that is from Jan to maybe September. Look at these 9 months as a bundle and then look at the balance part of the year. I mean, that's how probably you might have to really look at the industry as it moves ahead. So very uncertain moments, I would look at a very, very muted growth, if not a very positive growth. I would look at growths up to 5% to be a staggering recovery if it happens in the industry by the month of September. This would be certainly good. Another important thing that you are noticing in and around everywhere, and that's not any different in pharma, is that the big gets far more insulated from these kind of shocks, right? In the industry, the big brands and the big companies have shown a lesser decline than the smaller brands. And this is going to be the way forward. What COVID has done is, COVID has just given you a rude wake-up call and has told you that it's time to clean up your act right now. If you thought you can postpone it by X number of quarters, I think you don't have that luxury. You have to get into severe cost-cutting exercises, and you will see that even in the non-pharma scenarios where almost every day you are finding either layoffs happening, pay cuts happening, payments not being given, right from salaries to company payments. Okay, so there is a lot of stress in the cash economy, which is the whole mantra is conserve cash at the moment, right? All of us, whether it's in our homes, to our offices, to our enterprises, the mantra is to conserve cash as much as you can. And it's not a 3 or 6 months scenario. It could be, if you can conserve cash effectively for the next 12 months to 18 months, you will tide over a lot better than the others who are not so privileged in managing the businesses. So that's a scenario about what the pandemic looks like for the Indian pharma market today. I would say between April and September, if the industry ends up at a 5% growth, I think that's a good recovery, because it means that the next quarter is going to be something that's going to be a lot more stronger than what it was, right? The predictions already by one of the research agencies for the month of May is looking at around -5%. So April declined by -12. May is looking at -5. June, depending on the lockdown scenarios, will probably be in and around 0 to -2% odd, which means this quarter is certainly looking at almost a high single digit number. And hence, I'm saying that even a little under 5% growth in April to September period will be quite remarkable for the industry, which means all of us have to increase our visits to the doctors, to the hospitals, to get our medications, our treatments carried forward. If that doesn't happen, you can expect these 2 quarters also to be in and around 0 or maybe a percent or 2 higher. That's where we are. Now, what is the second part of the whole question is, what is it of the students during these times? I think what we are all getting used to very unusual methods of engagement. Okay, I'm saying engagement because I'm also covering people who run businesses like you, 2 students who are watching here. So right from running businesses to running education and to being a part of a student life, everything has changed. Everything is changed at the moment, and you have very conflicting views. You have views that says, like Twitter, who says there is a work from home permanent for a class of people who don't need to come to the office. There is somebody like Satya Nadella of Microsoft who says this is not the normal. We will have to get back to meeting people. We will have to get back to being social animals that we generally are. Okay, I mean the human race is very social, so we cannot do away with social interactions. We cannot do away with the physical connect with people that we have. So while there is a massive acceleration of digital, which is good because digital makes you reach out to people faster, makes you reach out to people at a much more economical cost. And in these kind of scenarios where there are viral outbreaks, it also probably is a safer way to reach and stay connected with people.
Absolutely.
So what I would look at is how well you're adaptable to these changes. Okay, I'm sure there are other questions that will come up during our conversation today where I'll address a few other things. But for me, if there is one thing that is going to be good for anybody, the student life or the corporate life or the entrepreneur life, how nimble you are, how adaptable you are is going to be the game changer. The faster and the more successfully you are able to adapt to normals, I think you will be a lot more able to not only survive, but even probably progress faster than others.
Absolutely. Very true, sir. Very nicely said, actually. Sir, in this industry, if as I would just continue the question that was with respect to the students. So, in this industry, when a student joins, what kind of lateral and vertical growths are available for the student, and what would be the usual time period that the person might have to dedicate to have a particular milestone achieved?
Okay. See, whether it's lateral or horizontal, okay, I think there are three hallmarks that one should remember at all points of time. I said the whole question about adaptability in the previous question, right? If you are demonstrating a very adaptable nature, I think you are going to be a guy that people would love, or a girl that people would love to have as a part of the team, because there are no airs, there are no hang-ups, right? Number 2, a sense of curiosity. It is extremely important on how well you keep demonstrating a willingness to learn, right? There are a lot of people who have a feeling that I think I know this, I don't need to know it. Or I think I know this, I don't need to hear from you. So if you're not going to be curious, you're never going to learn. And this is irrespective of age groups. You could be a young boy in a class, a young girl in a class, or you could be attending to interviews as a part of your placements, or you could be in the first few years of your job. If you aren't curious, if you aren't willing to learn, I think you will not be able to really be a part of the group that is an engaging group, that's a group that wants to collaborate and grow together. The third aspect, besides adaptability and curiosity, extremely high, which I really believe I adopt, I practice, and I preach, is to be disciplined. You cannot do away with being disciplined. When I say discipline, if you look at the power of being disciplined is that you are in control of what you are at least doing. And today, there are going to be increasing occasions where you are not in control of situations outside. None of us knew about, is COVID really going to be hit? I mean, just before lockdown happened, just a couple of weeks back, I was traveling in Calcutta. I was meeting doctors on the field. I was meeting my teams, my managers. I was having my meetings. And I did not see anything wrong. The only place where I saw a less of a crowd was in the airports. Right from Mumbai to Kolkata airport, there were not too many people. Everybody's wearing masks in the airport where there is less crowd. I walk into the streets of Calcutta, it's crowded, no masks, no single mask anywhere. It's crowded and it's business as usual. The fish markets are as crowded even today. Even today. So what it tells you is that I had no clue. Even I, at that point of time, was very dismissive of the point that I think there's more hype than truth. I mean, I think they're overreacting. Until the visit back, I was supposed to go to Chennai the following week to my plant, and I realized that okay, this is a little serious. Flights are getting cancelled. Let's just not venture out. So that week we already went into a staggered working. We already went into an alternate day norm, which was told in the second and the third week by the government of Maharashtra. And come the third week end, you already had the national lockdown. I mean, that was announced after the Janata curfew. So what I'm trying to tell you is that, after all that, the last 2.5 months of work from home, all of us, I think, would not have been able to achieve what we had achieved in the beginning of the day if you're not disciplined. So being disciplined at any point of time is going to stay with you for good. I mean, that's the most important D that I would really rate as a lot more higher. So if you have to move laterally, horizontally, I think three characteristics that you must build in yourself: be adaptable to the situation, to the people around, to the environment around. Be curious about your job, about yourself, about your colleagues, about your business, about your products, right? About your customers, about your stakeholders. Be extremely curious to know what affects them and what can you do to really play a part there. And the third is be disciplined at all points of time. So as you enter the industry, generally there is a lot of vertical movement, but I think today, with so many restructurings happening, so many jobs being redefined, I'm using a more positive word of saying redefined, because technically we should be saying jobs are getting redundant, right? But I would rather not use redundant word, and I would rather say that jobs are getting redefined, which means if there was 2 jobs done by 3 people, probably now there are 2 jobs done by 1 person. So there are 2 people literally going haywire and there, and hence being adaptable and curious to know your jobs, you learn much more on the job. So when you are on the job, when you are trying to prepare during your next 2, 3, 4 years for whoever who's been logging in or will log in, there are different points of, let's say, stage during the education cycle. You must need to know many things. And as you spend the initial years of your career knowing many things, you'll probably begin to start understanding which is the thing that you would like to master more. So when you look at initially, you might move. I really cannot say what the future will be. So moving lateral or moving horizontal or moving vertical, maybe time will tell you how soon that can happen. But one thing is for sure, if I took 23, 24 years to reach, or let's say 22, 23 years to head an organization over the last 3.5 years, probably in the next 5 years, on the next 10 years, I think that can come down by 2 to 3 years to 5 years comfortably. There are young people there. So there are opportunities. I don't think age is relevant. Experience is relevant. I think what's relevant is what is the value you bring to the table.
Absolutely.
If you bring value to the table at a young age of 10 years of experience, don't be surprised to be handed over responsibilities that would have probably have today been handed over after 15 years of experience. So there is no such timeline that I want to give you, because if I give you a timeline, we are not working in government organizations. For government organizations also, people are questioned. People are questioned. I think in today's government that we see at the center and everywhere, people are questioned, ki tum kar kya rahe ho? Are you really delivering your buck that you've been elected for? So there are enough positive pressures across. So time and age is not a factor. Experience is not a factor. what's the kind of work that you bring to the table, what's the kind of quality and output that you give to your organization or to your surroundings, I think will matter the most. And hence, stay adaptable, stay curious, stay disciplined.
Absolutely, sir. Very true. Uh, so your journey has been vast. Like some of the students who are attending this interview, their age would be lesser than your overall experience in the pharmaceutical industry.
You're just
What?
making me sound older now.
I'm so sorry, sir.
No, not a problem. Just go ahead.
What was that one or two moments in your life that actually pushed you to achieve all these things that you have in those vast 26 years of your career? Any specific moments in your life that made you achieve all this?
Well, I really cannot single it to any one moment. I think today there could be many moments even in a one single given year, right? I think there have been multiple opportunities that came my way. I have been blessed by having a lot of colleagues and seniors who've been a part of my journey. I've been fortunate to be leading teams which I think has been very pivotal to my standing in the industry over these years. I heard and I keep really a close relation to this line is that leadership is a privilege, right? If you have been given that privilege, I think it is in your selfish interest to play that part extremely well. Good people will make good leaders because good leadership is all about how you mentor, how you coach, how you empower people, how you enable people. I mean, my job is to create leaders. So what's been happening over the last 10 years of my career, where I've been purely into leadership roles, I've learned the art of trying to be compassionate, trying to stay humble, trying to be aware of what's happening. Because what's important is when you're aware of your surroundings, when you're aware of your team, you're aware of your markets and your products, you just start to begin to have a better picture. And if you're not clear, you will never be able to give the right message to your people. It's not that people come to you with problems at all points of time. Sometimes people even come to bounce of ideas to you. So even when they're bouncing off ideas, you need to be in a position to give a very fair and a free opinion. And if you can do that, you can only do that if you have been thorough with what you're trying to do. Otherwise, if you have to run an organization, I mean, given a day over the last 3.5 years that I've been, in roles of running companies, right from sales to marketing to manufacturing, HR, distribution, pharmacovigilance, medical, administration, anybody can walk up to you. And you cannot say that this next 1 hour I am only going to be an admin guy. तो मुझे सारा एडमिन के प्रॉब्लम्स बताओ सर यहाँ पे ये लाइट नहीं चल रही ये डोर ऐसा क्यों बंद हो रहा है okay how often do we need to sanitize when can we have lights can I put up these posters in the entire office so that's from an admin and you suddenly get into another 1 hour meeting which is a meeting where you're discussing the next 2 years pipeline for the organization so you wear multiple hats so what happens is there has never been one moment for me and there can never be one moment for anybody in life yes even for Mahatma Gandhi there was one moment that he was kicked out of the train that motivated him to come back to the country and do something different. But can you say, yes, that was the starting point. That was the turning point. Then there have been many turning points around his career, which made him the father of the nation that we all know. So for me as an industry professional, I think there have been multiple occasions. There have been teams that have taught me so many things. There are people that teach me today everything. I mean, I'm also visiting faculty at the NMIMS. Okay, and I've been there for the last 3 years, and I teach two different spectrums of people. I teach the full-time MBA people, and I also teach the executive MBA people. And the executive MBA people are all people who are either my age or even above me. There are people above 50 years as well. But what it gives me courage and encouragement is that even at 50, the guy is ready to sweat out his weekends every day for 2 years purely to get more educated on something that's better. He does not have an ego of wanting to learn even at 52, 53 years. Absolutely. Not that it is going to make a great impact in his career, but yes, even the balance 5 years, he wants to make a more rational decision. He wants to have his critical thinking to be more astute. So there will be many turning moments in our lives. And I think we should keep looking out for those moments. We should keep looking out for those moments that will make me a better person than what I am today. It will help my decision making to be more relevant than what it was yesterday. So I have had multiple moments. I have cherished all those moments, and I'm sure I'm going to have multiple moments in my future, whatever that I will be doing henceforth.
Very true, sir. It's not about one moment; it's about living each and every moment and trying to get the best out of every
Absolutely,
situation.
absolutely.
Sir, obviously, once again, there would be, as you said, there were several moments that motivated you. There would be several moments that actually challenged you as well. So a lot of challenges that you might have faced during your journey from as a student to the managing director, which was a recent stint. Uh, any certain challenges that you remember very clearly, and how you tried to get over those challenges, right from as a student to this recent stint of yours?
Many challenges. I mean, I think challenges are many because I have been an average guy always. Okay, uh, I've been I've been a fair student during my school. Uh, I've been a little average in my college. I was a better student in my management. So I've seen ups and downs within my own study graph itself. So I knew that I can be a little lazy, uh, and hence I wasn't as disciplined as I was in my work life as I could have been as a student. Probably if I was a little more disciplined as a student, I think I would have been, I do not know what. I mean, I would have been probably differently qualified. I do not know about the work front, but differently qualified. For example, uh, I actually wanted to do sciences, so I wanted to do medicine. And I do not know how many of you all are aware. I do not know if that is still on. There was something called as Brilliant Tutorials. Okay, it
Brilliance.
was, yeah, Brilliant Tutorials was a pure you know let's say correspondence for medical. Okay,
Okay.
pre-medicals.
Okay.
So I had these bunches of papers that used to come to me, study material that used to come to me when I was in 11th and 12th, and it is a 2-year thing. And I was based in Goa at that time studying, and I never cared much for it. And I felt very sad that I would be sitting in a closed room with all those wonderful bunch of papers lined up in my table, study table, door closed. My parents think this guy is really studying hard for medical, but I really didn't have the whole agenda to study, because I don't think as a person I am a great student, maybe in a lot of online stuff. Today it is online, yesterday it was correspondence. I don't think I was really relishing that moment. I would be more happy to attend classes and gain something from it. I mean, I was more a student that was more hands on. My entire experience to learn is more hands on rather than hands off, right? There are a lot of students who are extremely comfortable doing correspondence or doing completely, they are so good at doing courses online, but sometimes it gets very difficult for a person like me. So I realized that's not my cup of tea. So I certainly miss the medicals. I did not really even, I don't know what I even scored. So the next best, typically after medicine is, yeah, pharmacy karte hain. Okay. So where I was staying in Goa in Panjim, I think the pharmacy college is just opposite. And since my father is a banker, so I happen to be in the central government category. I don't have a general quota, so I fall in a very small narrow bandwidth of quota, where there were not more than 2 or 3 seats for central government category, because you're always on a transferable job, right? So then I said, okay, and the pharmacy was taking time. So I said, okay, let me then go to the next best sciences. So I said, let me go microbiology. I mean, that doctor nahi bana to chalo microbiologist to bante hain. So that was the agenda. Ki I'm more closely associated to science, and hence I took admissions in Goa, in St. Xavier's, learning microbiology and biochemistry. And as luck would have it or not have it, the pharmacy college, I was in the wait list because there was already people who were above me in the merit got through. But somehow they wanted engineering, so they went into engineering, and my number came up. But unfortunately, because of some silly politics, the paper never reached me to come and pay the fees.
Oh,
And and I got the news after a couple of weeks, when one of my people who works there, who actually knew that he signed my name, my paper. At that time, there were no phones. Okay, there were no mobile phones. It was just a letter that was sent that, okay, you can come and pay your admission fee because now you've been selected. That paper never reached me because of certain internal systems inside. where the paper was taken off. And after 2 weeks, when I had this family friend who was working there, who asked me, so, classes are starting next week in the pharmacy. I hope you are coming on board. I said, why, I am not there. I mean, I'm on the wait list. He said, no, your letter was signed by me to pay the fees. You've not paid your fees as yet. I says, no. And when he went back, that seat was already gone. So I was destined to do microbiology, and I did my microbiology. And the challenges are right from there. So it was unexpected. So things don't go your way when you want it to go your way. So the best is to make use of what you can do. Challenges have been plenty in my work life. I think right from expectations, the challenges begins with expectations. When you don't set expectations right, either yours or your organization or your bosses, everything can go haywire. And it's important that I've learned the hard way over the last number of years is to set expectations very clear. This is what is expected out of you. If you want to deliver something beyond a certain normal, this is what is expected and this is what is the support you will get. So challenges have been plenty. Challenges have been plenty when I wanted to move from sales to marketing. So when I moved from sales to marketing, I didn't have an MBA at that point of time. So I registered for an MBA program. So I did a part-time MBA. And for anybody who does something part-time, it's backbreaking. I think your own PharmaCAD runs it. It's not a full-time thing for you guys. It's a part-time thing. There's a lot of passion involved. I mean, if you weren't as passionate in driving PharmaCAD for not only your own satisfaction, but to see the joy of the students who are associated to the institute, you would really not feel the courage to go on a weekend and do it. I mean, I believe you said that you are doing only a weekend program today.
Yes.
So it's extremely difficult. And my part-time MBA was purely every day from a Monday to a Sunday, where I had to work the whole day and move. So I was in a sales job. To work in sales, so I would be perennially entering the class late. Now, because it was a part-time WorkX MBA program, the professors were very, very kind enough to understand, okay, this guy will walk in 5 minutes late once the class begins. And you didn't have the luxury to study every day. I mean, you typically take a week off before the exams and really study as though there's never been a tomorrow. So severally come up challenges from that, learning from people, supporting people, getting support from people. I think when you are in rough weathers, your peers will come up to you very strongly. And when you have your expectations set very rightly with your colleagues and your bosses, you'll have extreme great support coming in from the top as well. So challenges will make you the person that you are. Challenges have made me realize that staying approachable is the most important way for anybody. Just because I'm a managing director, I have people who have, when I moved out of Exeltis just a couple of weeks back, I had people right from the secretarial staff to the workman staff saying things that they have never seen before in their 25 years of careers or 15 years of careers. Because if, as a managing director, if I'm not approachable, and I've seen that with a lot of people that I have worked in companies where there have been managing directors and they have been extremely guarded. They've been extremely aloof. And that is not the way you reach today. Servant leadership is today the name of the game. Are you available to your people? Are you available to mitigate their challenges? And that's what I have learned the hard way, because sometimes I have not felt my bosses being there and I have had to learn it the tough way. So it's not gone well with me, maybe professionally. It's not helped my growth, but it's helped me as a leader. It's helped my resolve get better. That I should not be that. For sure I should not be that. Why did you come across with a concept like, let's say, PharmaCAD? It's because the challenges you faced as a student and the challenges that you're seeing in other people. And that gave the genesis of, let's say, an institute called the PharmaCAD. So challenges will either spur you to do something better, and that's always the right thing to do. Rather, don't let challenges subdue you. If challenges subdues you, then I think you're losing an opportunity to explore your potential.
Very true, sir. Very nicely said. Oh, if you are into reading, I'm pretty sure you must be into reading, because leadership involves a lot of development and a lot of self-development involved, because there might be times, as you said, you have also learned by interacting with people. I'm pretty sure you might have learned with a lot of books as well. So if you would like to recommend certain books for our students who can perhaps use this particular time or even time after the lockdown to kind of develop their attitude or personal growth, if you could suggest a couple of books for the students.
Well, I am less into reading books, but I'm more into reading. So when I say reading, I really spend my day into probably three broad buckets of reading. Okay, the first reading starts in the morning with the news. Okay, so I think two things that I really religiously follow is certainly use any one newspaper which is a general newspaper like the Times of India. Anybody, I mean, each one has a preference. So one is a general news that I really follow. The second is the business news, which is, let's say I subscribe to the Economic Times and I really read it purely to get two broad functions to start my day off. Because what happens is a lot of that becomes conversational topics during the day with people that you meet, different people. I mean, if I have to connect something with somebody, there is something that I've read which connects. It could be something to do with science, it could be something to do with somebody else. I mean, let us say if there is an entire dearth of movement of the oil tankers across the globe, where tankers are in the seas and not in the land, okay, as you would have seen maybe one viral post that came in a few weeks back. If I would have been talking to somebody who's there in the petrochemical industry and just ask him what that impact would be of all these tankers that are lying there, it gives you a relationship to start talking on something that he is interested in.
Right.
Right? I mean, I'm a pharmaceutical guy, but I cannot be always telling him about, yeah, vaccine kab aayega, okay, remdesivir pe itne trials ho rahe. He's not bothered. So if, yes, I will read about it purely to use a layman language to tell somebody about what's the whole concept of a repurposed drug, right? Why are repurposed drugs being looked at? And repurpose is not a drug phenomena, it is anything phenomena. I mean, in engineering, you use a lot of repurposed, basically what we call jugaads, what we call innovations, what we call tweaks, right? Something that can run on four wheels can many things probably on four wheels as well. Okay, something that can transport people can also be used as a handcart for selling goods. So there are multiple ways in which you can start imagining and start correlating. So one part of my reading certainly goes in reading the news, a lot of general news as well as the business news. For people who are into another field, it can be something very, very different. The second part of my reading goes into, or learning, let me put it as learning, goes into, in today's world, there is a lot of digital media that helps me. There's a lot of digital media that helps me read, which it could be videos, it could be short videos, and I've realized that anything that is beyond a certain number of minutes is not easy to keep attention on, right? You keep having distracted moments quite often during a 30-minute cycle. I mean, people who are going to watch this interview tomorrow, it's not going to be easy for them to spend 60 minutes on a trot. It's extremely difficult because it's natural. It's natural. And hence, if you look at having bursts of messaging is always more effective than having something. So even in our middle line that we really keep promoting videos, we really don't have bites more than 5 minutes, because we believe that up to 5 minutes is probably a good time for people to be attentive. Reports that say even up to 2 to 3 minutes is good enough. So you will find, if you, in case you get into these websites that really promote online learning, you will see a lot of 2 to 3 to 4 minutes bursts rather than a 1 hour session. There are 1 hour sessions, but sometimes this 1 hour session is broken down into small bites, and that really helps you. That really helps you gather the message across very strongly. So a lot of online learning is very active in mine. The third part of my reading, which generally happens towards the end of the day, is reading into magazines. I read magazines like business magazines. Like typically, I currently subscribe to the Forbes. Okay, so that gives me great inspirations about people, products, stories, companies, revivals, cultures. It really helps you to learn a lot. And the second thing that I really love reading is the HBR. I really spend time reading the Harvard Business Review. These are two things that I subscribe to. You can subscribe to many. In my house, there are magazines like The Week that comes, The Outlook that comes. Having a varied reading will give you a varied understanding of things. If you are limited to something alone, it may not help you too much.
Right.
So your curiosity, what I told you about curiosity, can be very effective if you start increasing your genre of reading. It will certainly be good. So I'm not a big advocate of books. Self-development books I love, but the minute I see that 200 pager, mere paas hai, I've got probably a collection of nothing less than 50-80 books. Probably out of that, 60% I've not read. Because I read it, I don't have the patience to read. I don't have the patience to compete. I just get too intimidated looking at that massive volume book. So I am a big advocator of reading anything. Just lay your hands on anything that you can read. If you have an agenda to really improve your knowledge, improve your horizon of various things, which will make you adaptable, which will make you curious, go for reading anything that you like. So if you have something that's black and white, read.
Right, great, absolutely, very nicely said. It's and also, as you very correctly mentioned, with reading all these different kind of topics, you become more comfortable in initiating conversations with many other people, and those interpersonal skills also come by default. Then you don't need to develop the
Absolutely.
interpersonal skills separately. So
Absolutely.
so, with this COVID era, how do you see the job scenario changing in this pharmaceutical industry?
It will change. It will change big time. I would see a lot of consolidations happening. Okay, like I said in the early part of our conversation today, uh, roles are getting redefined, roles are getting redesigned, which means we are trying to do something which is uh, the word that we are hearing these days: less is more, right? Each one of us today, for the last 2.5 months, have very successfully negotiated 50, 60 days of lockdown with lesser things, lesser visits to the market, lesser visits to the doctor, lesser expenses for those of who love to drink and smoke. There is a huge savings. You'll suddenly realize you may have withdrawal symptoms, but you suddenly saved a few $1,000. And 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 what can be better than that? Okay, maybe you've not gone to the movies for the last 3 months. And for people who have a habit of watching a movie a week, you've saved somewhere close to 700 to $900 a week, which means you're talking of around close to 3,000 plus saving a month. That can be put to better use. So 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 the scenario is going to be different. I would look at scenarios being different. You pick up the newspaper today. Today's newspaper talks about Ola taking off, shaving off 33% of their people. You have India Bulls Housing Finance taking off 2,000 jobs. Somewhere I just read yesterday in the viral news about Emcure taking off 120 medical reps. So there are companies who are just going to be knocking people. And the sad part is, I don't blame the guys who are at the front end who are doing this. The whole problem is the think tank and the leadership. When you start to expand, you expand with growth in the mind without looking at the feasibility in mind. Just because you want to show numbers that look promising to a promoter or to the company, you just start adding newer avenues of revenue, which is not scientifically thought through. And hence, today when the going is tough, you would want to sacrifice a new growth avenue rather than an existing guy. So there could be scenarios where I have seen in my company and other companies also, there are guys who are sitting there for 5, 10 years and not productive. And you will think 2 times before touching them. Especially in the pharma sales, you cannot touch senior guys in the market because of very strong trade union associations. You have to do it very, very smartly, very diligently. You have to negotiate your way through that. But there will be certainly a lacuna of jobs, and hence go back to what we started the conversation with. Stay adaptable, stay curious, stay disciplined. If you can be using these three very strongly and effectively, you bring value to the table. So it's not about experience that will count. It's not about age that will count. It's about what value you bring to the organization that will hold the test of time in the future. So there will be a change look in the market. Things will look leaner because they are meaner in the system, right? So that lean and mean concept is very much in practice, is very much in vogue. We will see jobs for the next 24 months being not so many freely available. It will be the select few, the best few, who will be even called for an interview. Probably for the guys who are either off the job or for guys who are wanting to apply for a job. And the guys who are on the job, they got to make their value count.
Yes.
If they don't, they could be seeing the firing line very, very soon. So I think we've just started seeing the beginning of this. The coming quarter, if I'm going to be talking in the pharma, anywhere between 0 to 2% growth, you could expect much bigger churns in the pharma. Because the government also has opened up the labor commissioner. They have now allowed that people can fire people without the promoters or the directors going to be held legal, right? So if they've allowed that, then I think it is going to be anybody's game. So
Absolutely.
Only survival of the fittest, the quickest, the smartest will actually stay for some time.
fact, that has been the scenario even with placements in several B schools. A lot of
Yes.
students have lost their placements as well, also their internships.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
very difficult for and especially when we talk about B schools, the parents and the students have invested a lot of time and money, and these summer internships or their final placements are something which are too important for them, and losing that is a very
Yeah.
disheartening scenario, sir. So
In fact, nowadays internships are being allowed at no cost, which
many
means
people are.
which means you want internship, come over, but I don't pay you. I don't pay you a stipend. So you've
Right,
been invited to do the work at your own cost.
right, right.
And this is not very surprising. I mean, I think, at this juncture, a student will say, yeah, an experience is better than no experience,
Absolutely.
because it also tells you how adaptable you are. Because tomorrow, if and I would really encourage students to go ahead and do it. For people who are really well off, or for people who are considerably well off, please go ahead and do it, because you can use it as an extremely good brownie point later on, because you didn't chicken out. You still went ahead, because for you, work X is more important than money. And I think this is going to be a very strong marketing point for you
In the
one,
future.
2 years later, once you're going to get into a full-fledged job.
Absolutely. Very nicely said. These guys are with PharmaCAD and they are planning to pursue their MBA in pharma. So that is why I got them on board, because I thought that their the profile would absolutely fit with what you have to share with them. What they want to learn and what you want to share is exactly pretty much on the same lines. So just invite them. Lena, if we can start with you. First question. Lena, you're there?
Yeah, so so I wanted to ask so that what are the difficulties he faced as a managing director at Exiltis India?
Okay, two difficulties. I think one difficulty, which is always the most tough to manage, is my corporate expectations. Right? We have our headquarters in Madrid. Uh, they have less of an inclination on how India runs and what's the challenges that India faces. So I think a constant reminder and a constant communication channel to tell them where we stand as a country, where we stand as a company, and where we can go in the next 2 years was an important challenge that I constantly had to keep them informed and aligned with. The second important challenge, which uh, was 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 managed pretty well, was on my internal stakeholders' expectations. Whenever there's a change of leadership, there is always an associated change that comes mentally with it. कि अभी बहुत कुछ बदल जाएगा, अभी इसका आदमी आएगा, अभी ये करना पड़ेगा. It's a very constant battle that happens, and it's a battle that happens with anything. It can happen with even a new teacher that walks into your class. I mean, let's say there is a new institute head, there is a new dean in a college. You are going to be expected to have a different set of rules and regulations, a different set of culture that does well. So the challenge that I had is to set the right kind of a culture in the company below. For a company that's seen changes, that's seen strategic errors, I think I had to bring a wave of calm. I had to temper their anxiety. I had to give them a lot of reassurance that we are headed on a path that is going to go in this direction. And the best way to do it is to walk the talk. The best way to do it is to over communicate what your key strategies are and how you will play a part being engaged as an equal stakeholder in the journey that we will do. So the challenges were twofold. The challenges, one is upwards, and the challenges, one is lateral and downwards for me as the head of the organization in India.
So what do you think about the mistakes that you might have made during your career and that might have affected you, I mean, where you are today?
Nice one. Good on Harshad. I think in fact, that's the best learning. I think making mistakes is the best learning. There are two ways to look at this. You make mistakes and you learn as a part of job enhancement, right? Those mistakes are always valuable mistakes. There are certain mistakes that you might make at the cost of ethics and principle. Those are not encouraged mistakes, right? As you grow up, you tend to become, let's say, let me just give you an example as a student. You can score great numbers by either working hard or by cheating, right? You work hard, you don't get good marks. Probably your checker has not been in the best of mood while checking your paper and you've lost the marks. What do? You have an option of repeating it, or you have an option of living with a 60 percentile. You have another option of being a good student. I mean, you are a 60 percentile student, or you're a 70 percentile student, and you've cheated in the due course of your, let's say, journey of your exams. You've scored an 80. It'll help you to get through somewhere, but it'll not help you beyond a point. So what's important is the mistakes that make you a better professional, the mistakes that make you a better person are mistakes that you should keep committing. Keep committing. Don't fear those mistakes. But mistakes that make you an ethical person, mistakes that make you, let's say, an unprofessional person, are mistakes that you should never inculcate. You will be tempted to do it. Today, if I can sleep the night, I can sleep the night because I think the mistakes that I've committed is to become a better person or to empower a better person. The mistakes that I've committed have never been at the cost of my ethics and principles. And hence, I'm very, very happy that anybody who's associated with me will have less to tell you about my character and will have more to tell you about my competence. So that's very important. When you build yourself as a leader, focus on your character, because competence and confidence will always keep coming to you based on the skills that you keep developing. But character will not come on skills. Character comes within. And if you can build yourself as a very strong leader with a character, I think you will stand the test of time. You will be reached out by people even beyond the position that you have. Otherwise, people will latch on to you because you have a position. Now, because Pranav runs PharmaCAD, I love Pranav. But if during that interface, if Pranav has made an impact to me as a student, I have learned 5 new things that I wouldn't have learned in the college, right? I think tomorrow Pranav moves away from PharmaCAD, I will still want to be associated with Pranav because of the individual that he is and because of the value systems that he possesses. So that's very important. Mistakes that help you be a better professional, keep making. That make you more humble, keep making. Mistakes that will be unethical, that will be unprofessional, please don't make it. Please don't even be associated with people who make those mistakes, because they will help you grow fast, but they will help you drop down much faster and much harder.
Sir, in the beginning of our talk, you mentioned that April to September is a good time for pharma because India is mainly an agricultural country. But I don't see how you might connect the two. I mean, the agricultural industry with the pharma industry.
Okay, lovely. So if I have to tell you why I made that statement, see the bulk of, in case you study the entire pharma industry, okay, we divide into 3 broad types. There's an acute business, there's a subchronic business, there's a chronic business, right? From a size point of view, the acute and subchronic dominate probably close to 60% of the business. And the chronic dominates close to only 40% of the business. The chronic has a very standard double-digit growth over the last 3 years, 5 years consistently. And that's giving you, which like this tells you that there is an increase of hypertension, diabetes, and let's say chronic ailments that are there. But what are the spikes? The spikes are an infection like this. The spikes are a gastroenteritis. And typically during this period of the year, with the change in the climate, there is a huge upsurge of all these kind of infections and ailments that come up. There is a huge increase of respiratory ailments. There is an increase of gastrointestinal problems that come up. I mean, you go to the road, you eat an uncooked meal, and you just suddenly land up with diarrhea, dysentery. So, aap khate kya ho? You take a lot of anti-worming agents. You take a lot of agents that take care of your GI irritation. There is an anti-infective. So overall, the acute and subchronic ailments or medications during this part of the year spike up. And hence, because it spikes up in change with the climates, very typically April, May, June, from hot months to humid months, you go to rainy months. Look at the change in the climate just from April to June is massive, right? Another point why I tell you is because the Jan, Feb, March year is the year end. A lot of stockists in the industry start reducing the stock holding because they want to, because it's a financial year end, so they will keep the house of books a lot more cleaner. They will reduce inventory days. And when they reduce inventory days in Feb and March, automatically April is like a boom month. So not that cases go up, I mean, April, May is typically a holiday season, but why do business look better? It's only because that the lull in March is made up in April. So April to September not only is, let's say, climatically making you an encouraged change in the kind of infections that you see, but even the nature of Indian pharma business, which has a leaner quarter 4, that is Jan, Feb, March, and has a far more productive quarter 1 and quarter 2, is a result why I say that this is the best period for the industry as compared to the other half of the year.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. So my question is a basic one. So what did you actually see in the pharma sector to go ahead in it as your career? What do you basically see in it that moved you towards it?
Nothing. I mean, let me tell you, I started my career for 6 months in a non-pharma company, a company called Network Limited. This company is an HCL group company, which is no longer there. They made the first electronic typewriters in the country. And at that time, you had the manual, typewriter that you still see sometimes in front of high courts and, these guys. Then it moved into a better print quality. That's why the electronic typewriters came in. So I started my career in electronic typewriting because that was the first walk-in interview I went and I got a job. So I just didn't know what a walk-in was. I mean, I went into a company in Worli where I saw some 100 people standing outside, people more senior to me, people who works in companies like Xerox. That time the company was called Modi Xerox, Eureka Foods, all sales guys. And I said, wow, these guys are so good. Mujhe kyun lega koi? I went in and I had 3 rounds of interviews and I walked in probably at around 11:30, after waiting for 1.5 hours in the line. Got the job. By 3 o'clock, I had the appointment letter in hand, and I walk away thinking that mujhe kyun liya? The point is, they wanted freshers. They wanted people with a fresh mind. They don't want people who come with a baggage of experience. Hence, I was chosen. And having chosen, I started working. I had the entire central suburbs as my work area. And I would keep meeting companies. I would keep meeting pharmaceutical companies. They were my clients, Cipla and all the others. So when the first walk-in interview for Cipla came up for marketing executives, I said, yaar, I think I'm a science student. Yaar, mujhe ye naukri leni chahiye. Ye sab typewriter sab kahan bechta firunga main. Let me try and get into something which is science-based. And hence I walked into a pharma company. Otherwise, there was surely nothing planned. I mean, let me be honest, nothing was planned. In life, most things are unplanned. I mean, there are very few who can really get up and say, I mean, you asked probably Pranav 3 years back, did he even plan PharmaCAD the way it is today? And tomorrow you do not know how it is going to be planning. I mean, yes, you may want to plan to get into a good company, but will you get chosen in a good company? I don't know. All you need to plan is, can I do a good job? Whatever job I have taken, can I do it to the best possible ability that I do? Because if I do that and if I keep excelling in that, the future plans will automatically start getting laid out for you. Certainly. I mean, it is, I don't know if there's a percentile 1 in 10 or 2 in 10 that really get hold of a dream job. Oh, I want to get into Microsoft. I want to get into the best company in India. Very difficult. I mean, I'm sure a guy from IIM cannot even plan that. Just because a guy walks into my campus doesn't mean I'm going to get the job. I mean, there could be something that might not click between me and the interviewer. I may be good. So not necessarily that marks will take you there. It's today the overall student that really will take you where you are. And I think that's where I think, in my conversation with Pranav, I was very happy to see what they don't teach you in the institute is what is being taught in PharmaCAD. And that what makes you a lot more all-rounded student or an all-rounded candidate, really vie for something that a company might be looking for. So it's good to have plans, but don't be disappointed if your plans don't take you there. Just keep working on what you are good at.
Right, sir.
So now that you see everything has become like a rat race, even the lockdown I see around, people have made that a rat race. And in every part of the career, maybe early on or down the career, like after a long period, you've been there in the industry, you face some pressures or stress, something that builds stress. So how would you help, like give your opinion or something that helps us now that we're in early of our career, that we get through it easily, and how did you cope up with it?
Well, I don't want you to walk away with a feeling that everything in life is going to be easy with a session like this. No, it will not. You'll be better prepared to handle failure. My whole agenda of sharing my comments, my thoughts with you is for you to be more aware of what's happening, for you to be more better prepared on how to address things. You might get something in the first instance. Don't be overjoyed. Be responsible. Be more accountable to really value that opportunity that has come your way a lot faster than the others, or value your. I think all of us today are extremely happy that we don't have to be roaming the street for food. We don't have to be roaming the streets for shelter. Each one of us are today living in our own houses, secured, right? So cherish the moment. And what I would say is, take stress that is going to make you a better person. Take stress to make you be a little more active than yesterday. Take stress to maybe be a little more aware than yesterday. Do not really take stress that what happens if things don't go my way, because you certainly don't have any control on that. I mean, you just don't know how the opposite person is going to respond to you. When this interview goes live, I cannot be worrying about how many likes are going to come in the YouTube. That's not my concern. That's not my agenda. That I may not answer a question the way you want it to be answered. If you want to hear something, I may not have said it. It's not that because I don't know what you want to hear. I will tell you what I think I know best and what I've experienced best. So every day that you pass through in these days, I think set up an expectation to make the best out of it. Set up an expectation to really connect with the right people. Set up an expectation to hear the right things, to be motivated enough in saying that, wow, this is how I can do things better. So surround yourself with news and people that will inspire you to do better, that will inspire you to be grateful, that will inspire you to be looking for a better self of you tomorrow. I'm not sure if I've answered you, Anchal, but I've just tried to share my thoughts on this.
Yes, sir, it's pretty much answered it. I just actually meant about like in the career, there's pressure with your like from your peers. There's peer pressure, something that your boss expects you to do, something that you expect out of yourself. Maybe you see yourself down like after 2 years, you see yourself somewhere and you don't achieve it always. So there's pressure, something to achieve, something people expect from you. So how to cope up with that? How did you do it majorly?
Okay, lovely, fine. You've been more specific this time. What's important is to have a consistent channel of communication, right? Whenever you've been told something, re-understand what is being told is right, so that you don't do things that are not expected. When you start having an open channel of communication and clarity of what you got to do with your seniors, with your peers, do your best there. Despite that, maybe the turn of events may not be in your favor. What I would really recommend is learn from that experience. Rather than being very hard on yourself, you don't need to be hard on yourself at all points of time. I mean, there are many things in life that are not worth your stress, right? What's most important is be in the right mental space. When you are in the right mental space, your physical body supports you a lot better. When you are down, when you're not feeling good, you're going to be automatically fatigued out. You will really not be in the best of spirits to really carry out your job the way you would really like to do it. So one, have a consistent channel of communication, have a very clear understanding of what is the task at hand and are you doing it to the best possible level. If you think that there is a distrust between you and your colleagues or your bosses, have frequent reviews to it. That, okay, this is how I'm doing it. Am I on the right path? Don't wait for the whole action to be over and then realize, oh, I should have checked maybe a week before or maybe a few hours before. So have constant checks that will help you and your colleague or your boss know that you are on the right, let's say, direction. You're not going wayward. So constant monitoring, constant communication, constant reiteration will help you to be extremely on course during the early part of the career. And today I would say during every part of the career. I mean, today it is not that after spending X number of years, you don't need to keep checking yourself. You should always keep checking yourself. At the end of the day, time is money, effort is money. So don't let both of that go haywire. Keep being on the right side of the understanding with your colleagues or the person that you are. If you're a part of a team, you're a part of a project, please get it revalidated as much as you can, just to be sure that your efforts and your intent will not go down the line. Uske baad bhi, if you don't really achieve what you got to achieve, it could be a team failure. It could be a failure of a strategy right from the boss. It is not an execution failure. What is in your control? In your control is execution, quality of execution. Keep doing that actively. Keep doing that rightly. I think you should be able to pass through with lesser heartbreaks than what should be there.
A last message for all the students in general, like how should they look forward into their careers, all those B farms or the M farms or the MBAs, whoever is going to be watching this, how do they look forward to their career? What should they be expecting? And any message from your end to move forward?
Yeah, I think the world, respects the youth of India. Okay, you all are in, I think, a time zone that is be immemorial. I think you are there at the right time. There will be opportunities that will come your way. Keep looking out for it. Stay curious, stay disciplined, stay adaptable. Because if you can do this, you're going to set a wonderful culture for yourself. You will really set yourself up for always being a person who wants this guy on your team or on your side of the conversation or the business transaction that you do. There is failures that will come up, and try and make failures your friends. If you can do that, you will learn from that experience. You will not be bogged down from that experience. Do not be hard on yourself. I think the COVID times has given us enough evidence of the fact that there is a life beyond profession. There is a life beyond work. Enjoy those moments. Less is more. I think this era has really taught us that you can be happy with even a small little amount, and you can really live your life longer, right? Look at how people in a few parts of the world have really lived life. I mean, if India has an average of 70 years, Japan has it at 1995. Why? Because why is today the Ikigai so very popular? I mean, it's not that the ancient Indian Vedas have not taught you that. They've taught you that. They've taught you to be living within your means, living within your opportunities. So seek opportunities that will give you enrichment as a person, enrichment to the mind, enrichment to your body and soul. If you can pick up those opportunities and keep working on them, I think you will live a life that is going to be more fulfilled. It depends on how you would like to, attain success. Is success wealth for you, or is success fulfillment for you? That will choose the path that you would like to go ahead with. So there are going to be opportunities plenty. You all are in the right space. You are into the right industry. Pharmaceuticals, healthcare is going to be permanently etched in the world time immemorial. So it's not that you are going to be in a upbeat or a unknown technology driven area. The techniques will change, but the industry that you have chosen and that I am a part of, I think is for the future. So feel happy that you have chosen the right future. Look out for being a good person. Look out for being a person that gives the best every time. I think you will be a sought after individual in any stream or any walk of life that you would like to pursue, whether it's manufacturing, marketing, business, labs, research, anything.
Perfect. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. And I'm sure all the viewers and the students who have attended this session, and also the students who would be watching this session later, will be definitely motivated with what you had to share with us. And certainly a lot would be able to relate. Even the industry personnel, like who are 5-6 years into the industry, would want to take up a career like yours or take up a career graph like yours. I'm pretty sure. Thank you so much for your time, sir. And
thank you so much, Pranav. Thank you so much, and thanks all for the students who've been here online. I think it's been a pleasure to really share my views and my experiences, and I'm always available. You can probably log in and stay connected with me on LinkedIn, or you could mail to me, and I'll be glad to be in touch with all of you, because I think inspirations and motivations come from the young, like all you guys. And good luck, Pranav, to your institute. I think you're doing a fantastic job in trying to nurture the young. I don't have the guts that you have. Okay, you have started doing this at a very young age, and I only get inspired by things like this. And I look forward to being interactive with all you guys.
Would be great, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
it
you.
would be great if we can someday have a physical communication.
We should. We should. I will certainly be glad to come over to your institute.
That would be great, sir. Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. I'll take your leave, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Take care, sir.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for watching the Leadership Lab. If you have any questions for our speakers or any suggestions for us, you can email to us on pharmacad.mumbai@gmail.com, and the title of the email should be the Leadership Lab. And we shall try to send your questions to the speakers and get the answers at the earliest. Thank you so much for supporting. Keep watching. Take care.